Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Game Development Log video diary, and this week I have finally finished off the networking code for multiplayer combat. So the first thing that I want to show you this week is that players now do an animation when they get damaged. I only added this in last night, so I didn't have very long to make the animation, as you can see, but you get the idea. The player only carries out the damage animation if he isn't doing any other more important action. So if the player starts attacking, you can see that the attack action overrides the getting damaged action, and the damage animation isn't shown. The main thing that I've been working on this week though was the collision detection calculations for all the different attack types. Last week I showed you the working melee attacks, and now I've got all of the other attack types to work as well. So the first attack type that I worked on this week was beam attacks, and as you can see here, collision between the beam and the enemy's hitbox is now correctly calculated on the server. In order to achieve this, I surrounded each entity in a cylindrical hitbox, and then it was just a fairly simple task of calculating the intersection between the line of the beam and the cylinder, and if the two intersect, then the enemy gets damaged. The next attack type that I worked on was the Barrage Attacks, and these attacks were slightly more complicated because the attack itself doesn't directly cause the damage. The attack creates a projectile which then collides with something and explodes, and it's then that explosion that causes the damage to the other entities. So I had to add support for projectiles and collision detection on the server, which took a while, but once that was done, the actual damage calculation was pretty easy. The explosion can just be treated as a sphere with a certain blast radius, which is determined by the attack, and then it's just a very simple task of calculating whether any entities are inside that blast radius. Finally, the last attack type that I needed to do this week was projectile attacks, which as you can see here are now able to damage other players and mobs. The only thing that I haven't quite got round to doing yet is implementing projectile collision with players or mobs on the client side, so projectiles still appear to go straight through other players. On the server side though, everything is now working, and the projectile collisions are calculated using swept AABB collision detection, and a link to the tutorial that I used for that is in the description of this video in case you're interested. Also this week there are a few nice new models in the game, so we've got this lovely new oak tree here. And then in the desert we've got this whole set of new ancient ruins models, all of which were made by Erik quick, and all of which look absolutely fantastic. One other thing that I've been trying to do this week is to come up with a name for the game, because with the Kickstarter coming up in August I need to start getting more people to know about the game, and that's not very easy to do when the game doesn't actually have a name. So if any of you guys have any good ideas for a name, then please do let me know. I just need a decent RPG name that is memorable and also maybe suggests that the game is fairly combat and PvP oriented. For this week though, that is it. I am now finally finished with the networking side of the combat system, which means that I can finally move on to improving the visual effects of attacks, and I'll be starting work on that on Monday. If you want to see more updates about the game during the week, then don't forget to follow me on any of my social media pages. Links are in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a lovely week, and I will see you all next time.